What started out as a single image posted online grew into one of the bigger horror phenomena on the internet. Millions of fans, endless theories, entire worlds built from one picture of an empty, yellow room. The Backrooms. And now somehow it's a feature film. The reason that image resonated with so many people comes down to something called liminal space. Places that feel familiar but wrong. A school hallway after everyone has gone home. An empty shopping mall, a deserted airport at 3 a.m. Spaces designed to be passed through, not lived in. The Backrooms took that feeling and turned it into a nightmare, which raises an interesting question. How do you turn a feeling into a movie? Because that's what the Backrooms has always been at its core. A feeling of being lost, of being alone, and somewhere where you're not meant to be. So does that feeling survive the leap to the big screen? Welcome to Pass the Popcorn. Let's talk about it. But first, for the uninitiated, here's a quick rundown on what the Backrooms actually are. If you want to skip to the review of the film, jump here. Now, for anyone wondering what the Backrooms actually are, imagine getting stuck in the world's most cursed office building. The concept started back in 2019 after a single image of an empty yellow room went viral. People began imagining a nightmare dimension hidden just behind reality itself, a place you could accidentally fall into if the world glitched. Endless yellow hallways, buzzing fluorescent lights, damp carpet. No way out. And the worst part, you're not really sure if you're alone. The idea exploded across YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, eventually growing into an entire mythology of different levels and creatures and portals. But the original appeal was never really about the monsters. It's about the feeling of being trapped somewhere that looks normal at a first glance, but feels completely wrong. And somehow, that weird internet creepypasta eventually led to a major feature film directed by the very person who helped make the Backrooms famous in the first place. This is the directorial debut of Kane Parsons, who first blew up online creating the Backrooms videos as a teenager. And honestly, it's kind of refreshing. In an industry where it feels like the same handful of directors keep getting handed the same keys to every major franchise, it's nice seeing someone from an entirely different generation getting a shot. Let the kids take a turn, you know? Especially when that person actually understands what they're adapting. They know the source material. Now, let's talk about the movie. One thing I wasn't expecting going into the Backrooms was how much I ended up liking the people. Because let's be honest, with a concept like this, it would have been very easy for the characters to become a little more than walking exposition machines. People whose sole purpose is just to tell us about the Backrooms, what they are, and running down the hallway screaming. Thankfully, that's not what happens. The film spends time letting these people breathe. Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, immediately feels like someone carrying years of baggage on his shoulders. There's a sadness to him from the very beginning, a wariness. You can see the alcoholism, you can smell the regret, you can see a man just desperately trying to hold himself together, while the world around him suddenly becomes increasingly impossible to understand. And that's what I really appreciate in Ejiofor's performance. He never plays himself as a superhero, just a broken man trying to figure things out. He's messy, he's frustrated, he's angry, he lashes out. There are moments where his desperation to learn about the Backrooms becomes almost painful to watch because you completely understand why he's breaking down. It feels like it's his only purpose. The same could be said for Renate Reinsve as Dr. Mary Klein. What could have easily become a stereotypical voice of reason character instead feels like a genuinely damaged person trying to navigate her own trauma while helping others survive theirs. She never feels like she's there to explain the movie to the audience. She's just another victim trapped inside it. And the chemistry between the two leads is what keeps the film so grounded, because when you're dealing with a concept that is this surreal, you really need emotional anchors. You need people who feel real. And for me, these two absolutely delivered. You understand what these people are losing and what normal looked like before this whole nightmare started, how their lives were, their day-to-day. Which brings me to the atmosphere, because this might be the most unsettling film I've seen in quite some time. It's not scary, it's just unsettling. There's a difference. A jump scare makes you jump, the Backrooms just make you feel uncomfortable. The pacing deserves a lot of credit here too. The film isn't rushed, it just takes its time. It lingers, it allows scenes to breathe, hallways to stretch longer than you expect, conversations that just hang in the air. The camera often sits still just long enough for your brain to start searching every corner of the frame, wondering, is something gonna pop out? And that constant tension creates an eerie feeling that never really goes away. Even during the quieter scenes, there's a sense of something is wrong. Not necessarily dangerous, just wrong. like reality itself has slipped slightly out of alignment. That's what makes the Backroom so effective as a concept. The fear doesn't come from the monsters or the weird entities. It comes from the uncertainty, from being somewhere so familiar that it suddenly feels alien, somewhere that looks almost normal until you stare at it for a bit too long. And I think Parsons understands that better than anyone else. Rather than filling every hallway with a creature or explanations, he just leans into the discomfort. The silence, the repetition, the impossible architecture, the feeling of moving forward while somehow never actually going anywhere. At times, it almost reminded me of a nightmare. You know those dreams when you're trying to get home, but every street just leads to somewhere else? Or you're searching for a door that was there a moment ago and suddenly it's gone? Yeah, that's the feeling the Backrooms captures perfectly. The closest comparison I can make to the Backrooms is just a strange mixture of Cube, As Above, So Below, Cabin in the Woods, and even Severance. It's not identical to any of these stories, but it shares pieces of what makes each of them interesting. Like Cube, with its fascinated impossible spaces, As Above, So Below creates that feeling of descending deeper and deeper into reality that no longer makes any sense. Meanwhile, Cabin in the Woods, it hints a much larger world operating behind the scenes. And like Severance, there's a constant sense of ordinary environments having become deeply unsettling. Also, come on, look at the office and the camera work. Jeremy Cox captured this perfectly. Also, the set design. Listen to this.
We had a huge set of this, and we were wandering around, getting lost, trying to figure our way through it. It was great to have it as a physical space, but yeah.
I heard it's a 30,000-foot set, right? The crew was getting lost on, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They actually built it. That's insane. Now quickly back to some of the characters. Even some of the smaller characters left an impression. There's a young couple who briefly becomes involved in the mystery, and while they aren't in the film for very long, they represent something I found myself wanting more. Not necessarily the characters specifically, but the idea of just ordinary people stumbling into the Backrooms. One of the things that fascinated me the most about the movie wasn't the mystery itself, it was also the possibilities hiding inside of it. How would different people react? What would have happened if more people discovered the place? What happens when curiosity overcomes fear? The film mostly stays focused on Clark and Mary's story, but there are moments where I found myself imagining dozens of other stories that could exist within this world. The strange thing is, by the end of the film, I wasn't wishing the movie had explained more, I just wanted to spend more time in the world. The Backrooms feels like it's capable of supporting dozens of different stories, and Kane Parsons has only shown us a small corner of it. That's both the film's greatest strength and its biggest frustration. Because while I enjoyed the story we got, I couldn't help imagining all the other stories hiding behind the walls. The film never really explores those ideas, but the fact that I spent so much time thinking about them afterwards says a lot about how compelling this world is. By the end, I had dozens of questions, and the film doesn't seem particularly interested in answering most of them. For some viewers, that will be frustrating. For others, that's exactly what makes the experience work. Personally, I found myself somewhere in the middle. I wanted more answers, but I also recognized that the mystery is part of the appeal. Because the moment you fully explain the Backrooms, they just stop being the Backrooms. They just become another location, another monster movie. Instead, the film leaves us wandering those hallways long after the credits roll, still looking for answers, still trying to find the exit. And honestly, that's probably the point. As much as I'd love to see a sequel, part of me hopes the Backrooms becomes a television series instead. The world feels too large to be contained with a handful of movies. A series would give Kane Parsons and his team a space to explore different corners of the Backrooms and spend more time with people trapped inside them, and dig deeper into the mysterious async organization operating behind the scenes. While I enjoyed Clark and Mary's story, I walked away feeling like we only just scratched the surface. And for a directorial debut, that's a pretty impressive achievement. It left me curious about what else exists in this world. Curious about what's hiding behind the next door. Now, let me know, what did you guys think of this movie? Did you like it? Do you want a sequel? Or do you just want to close the door on it? And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Also, comment down below your favorite movie recommendations. And yeah, pass the popcorn.